Grant Harden is a 50-year-old police officer with a terrifying secret. Grant was captured on suspicion of murder, but his crimes and behavior were so bad that during his interrogation, he tried everything he could to get away. On February 23rd, James Appleton pulled into a parking lot on Ganridge Road to talk with his brother-in-law. A tremendous banging sound was heard over the phone, followed by the line going dead. A bystander noticed a white Chevrolet Malibu parked behind James' car, which drove away after hearing the loud bang. When the bystander went to check on James, he was dead at the wheel, shot in the head. Gateway, Arkansas, has a population of 400 people, so the owner of the Chevy was soon identified as Grant Harden, a 50-year-old police officer who had grown up in the town. Later that night, after taking his family out to supper, Grant's vehicle was halted at a police roadblock, and he was swiftly hauled in for interrogation. Unfortunately for everyone concerned, Grant's experience in law enforcement would prove to be one of the most agonizing and difficult interrogations Arkansas police had ever had to deal with.
James Chamberlain.
Okay, yeah.
I know. Did you used to be a police officer somewhere? Or I recognized you, but I wasn't 100% sure where I knew you from. But somebody said that you used to be a police officer in Gateway or something like that. Okay.
And a constable. And
you were a constable here too. For Benton County?
yeah.
For Benton County. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
The questioning begins. As Detective Chamberlain begins with questions about Grant's career, because they're both police officers, he feels he can immediately hit a middle ground with him, creating trust and maybe getting him to relax so he'll give up information more easily. He'd soon discover that his method had the opposite impact. Grant then reads his rights and thinks that this is where he will start making things difficult for the detectives.
Okay. Here's the thing. I want to talk to you about what you've done today. Okay. Can you just take me through when you woke up this morning to when you got stopped by the police out there in what's the name of that road that you were on? I'm sorry, I'm going to drop. Ganridge?
I'm not going to say anything after I've been read those rights yet.
Okay. Why don't you want to talk to me about your day?
Grant hasn't been told why he's been brought in until now, and he says he's feeling nauseous. Given the circumstances, and given his unsettling body language, he may be feeling vulnerable and perhaps inferior as the suspect rather than the investigator for the first time in his life.
So you don't want to explain what you've done today? Did you? Is there a reason behind that?
You read me my rights, and I don't know why. And so...
As is customary in such cases, the detectives leave the room for a few minutes to discuss how they plan to handle the interview. It not only allows them time to plan their approach, but it also offers the suspects time alone to think about what might be going on and develop uneasiness about their situation. At the same time, it may give the suspect time to organize their thoughts and come up with their own story and approach to the interrogation, putting the police on the defensive.
By the way, I'm Detective Cordier. I think we've met once before.
Probably so.
Yeah, I think so. Back when I was on patrol.
Okay, I talked to my boss. I think I was confused, or I may have confused you on what's going on here. I can't tell you exactly why you're here, and you being a police officer, you understand that. I need to rule you out as a suspect in a crime that's been committed.
When the detectives re-enter the room, they take a decidedly different approach this time, attempting to put Grant at ease by explaining that all they need to do is clear him of any wrongdoing and he'll be free to go. Many individuals will be tempted to open up a little more in order to get out of there as soon as possible, but Grant has other plans. Timestamps.
Would you be willing to talk to me about your day, knowing that I need to rule you out of something, or I'm at a loss here, and I need to clear you from something. And if you didn't do anything wrong today, you have nothing to worry about. And that's kind of where we're at.
Well, yes, I would have liked to, but before.
Yeah.
The rights were read, so
okay.
Not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and you understand as a detective, we read those rights to everybody who comes in here. It's not just you.
Grant is well aware of all of this as a former police officer. He knows that everyone who is interviewed, innocent or not, has to be read their rights, which effectively rules this out as the real reason he isn't talking. He's just using it as an excuse to avoid talking and potentially even stalling for time. Timestamps. 4:49-5:43. Unfortunately for the detectives, Grant is in perfect form during this interview. Refusing to speak substantially impedes the case as a whole and entirely prohibits the detectives from progressing. all while remaining completely legal. This is why Detective Chamberlain becomes visibly irritated and decides to take a break from the interview, as allowing emotions to dictate an investigation like this can be exceedingly risky for the detectives. However, this time alone can also provide the suspects with the opportunity to devise a plot.
Hello?
Sir. What's up?
I was looking for a detective.
You want me to get him for you?
Well, I'm ready, I need to go
You need to go where?
home or get ready for work in a little bit.
Okay, we'll just have a seat and I'll get him for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
No problem. You need anything else?
No, I hate not being able to talk. But usually after they read my rights, after they read me my rights, I just feel like I need to be silent.
What do you mean?
Well, how come nobody asked me anything or told me anything before we got here or anything? Not necessarily you. You've been real good to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just taking you up here, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I mean, they asked me to bring you up here. So, the detective is the one that has all that information.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And he said he couldn't give it to me
Oh, he did?
right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, what time do you need to be back? What time do you usually get ready for work?
Listen, I try and leave by 9:15. Let's see. Well, my head's all screwed up now. 9:15, 9:30. So I can get there and sign in before 10:45. 10:45, yeah.
Oh, you gotta sign in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Surprisingly, in many other cases like this is the point at which an officer may seek to make a determination about the subject. The interview has clearly come to a halt, with no progress being made in any direction. The typical procedure would be to either obtain the necessary information to charge the suspect or release them due to a lack of evidence. Grant is told to stay and finish the interview, regardless of whether the investigator believes he can extract additional information or if it was an ego-driven choice. The police then tried to piece together more of the incident, speaking with witnesses to try to position Grant at the site of the crime, despite the fact that his silence is totally lawful and appropriate. It raises the detective's suspicions, which are only heightened when Grant's wife claims that his only alibi was that he was distributing grass seeds at the time of James' death. All signs lead to Grant, and Detective Chamberlain returns for a third round.
Detective Cordero is talking to your wife right now. I talked to her a little bit. So I've kind of got a timeline of where you were and where you weren't today. We all know what happened, okay? My thing is I'm trying to get your side of the story, okay? I'm trying to think of how to word this delicately. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble. I'm not trying to get her in any trouble. Okay, you've got a little daughter, she's 16, who needs her parents. Okay, I know what was said at dinner time. I know everything. Okay, I need your side of the story. Okay, I don't know if you've had a problem with this guy for a while, and this was an accident, or you maliciously chased him down, or what happened. But if I don't get your side of the story, I won't ever know. Okay? You know I know. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't be talking to them right now. So I want to give you the opportunity to tell me what led up to what happened today.
When the two automobiles were parked next to each other at the time of the murder, the man in the white Chevrolet waved to a passerby before the shot was fired. They were able to get a good look at the car as they passed, and unfortunately for Grant, it was Andrew Tillman, another small-town resident who had known him since he was a youngster, and could thus surely place him at the scene of the crime. Grant and Chamberlain both know what happened to James as the gun went off, But Grant also knows that his only chance of escaping is to remain silent and hope that they don't obtain the necessary evidence. The detectives are now compelled to attempt practically everything to get Grant to move, beginning with enabling him to view his wife and kid in the hopes that it may elicit some type of emotional reaction in him and prompt him to speak.
Your wife's about to leave. She wanted to give you a hug before she left. Are you good with that? Perfect. I told her that it was fine. I don't have any problems with it.
Okay.
Just, come on in. I'm sorry. I was
That's
just,
right.
Unfortunately, even this is ineffective. Instead, Detective Cordiero chooses to return alone, this time with a more calm and empathetic approach and a second attempt to gain Grant's trust. Male suspects are more prone to form an unconscious connection with female investigators because they believe they are less intimidating and more understanding. In reality, this is the detective's final resort.
All right, get ready to think about laying down up on that desk, but it looks awful hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be any more comfortable out there than what you are now.
No,
Can I get you anything else?
no, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, can you help me understand how we got to this point?
I don't know.
I don't know. Man, I remember being on patrol and running into you one night. Help me out on a call, back me up.
Oh,
It was way back in, oh gosh, it's been almost, I guess almost 3 years now.
well,
Two,
Yeah, probably
something
so.
like that. Yeah, something like that. But,
yeah. You guys are always good to help us, help me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brad, he was always right there, man.
oh, absolutely.
Oh.
I worked on his shift, so,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he always had my back. But I just don't understand how we got to this point.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, I'm here to listen. If you're willing to talk,
Oh,
tell
I'm
me.
just ready to go to bed.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Me too. Me too. And if we could do that, you just talk to me.
Well, I just have to. Since you read those rights, I have to stay. I have to do the right.
Well,
Right.
what's the difference?
You know the
Seriously.
difference.
No, what's the difference between knowing what the paper says and telling, especially if it clears you out of everything? I mean,
Well, yeah, I see
the
what you
way,
mean.
the way I look at it is, regardless if something happened or not, and if it did, if it was an accident, well, tell me. Like, let me help me help you. Like, I want to know what I can do or what happened today to be able to explain it later.
I don't know what happened today. I just need to.
People are gonna have questions. Your family.
Well, I have questions.
Well, exactly.
So,
why can't we figure this out together?
well, we can, but I've been left in the dark on everything since.
Well, the thing is, I can't. There's certain things, but there's certain things I can tell you and I can't tell you. But when you start to tell me what you did today, it starts to clear up things. Once you start telling me, I can start telling you. That's how it works. Let me help you.
Well, thank
You have
you.
to help me first.
Thank
So
you
I
for
can-
trying to help me.
Yeah, of course. So I can figure out what happened and what you were doing today. I mean, I've already talked to your wife. I've already talked to your daughter, who's really sweet, by the way.
Thank you.
She's a really good kid.
Yeah.
So the only step left is to talk to each other and figure out, come get down to the bottom of it. What happened today?
Okay.
Why was today any different than every other day? But until then, we're kind of just stuck.
Okay.
So, you want to talk about it?
Cordiero begins with an anecdote about Grant allegedly supporting her on a case 3 years ago, even though he doesn't remember it. This will give him the impression that Cordiero will be much more sympathetic and helpful to him because he has already done her a favor. It also allows them to continue talking about their time on the force and the people they've worked with, which strengthens the subconscious link Grant will be forming.
I just don't understand how we got to this point.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, I'm here to listen. If you're willing to talk,
Oh,
tell
I'm
me.
just ready to go to bed.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Me too. Me too. And if we could do that, you just talk to me.
Well, I just have to. Since you read those rights, I have to stay. I have to do the right.
Well,
Right.
what's the difference?
You know the difference?
No, what's the difference between knowing what the paper says and telling, especially if it clears you out of everything? I mean,
Well, yeah, I see.
the
what you
way,
mean.
the way I look at it is,
Cordero is consciously using inclusive language, such as "we will figure this out together." This, along with her open and expressive body language, are both methods she employs to make Grant feel more at ease, and as if he is a part of the solution rather than the issue. She's also trying hard to be kind to Grant in the hopes that he'll eventually open up to her or offer her a way in.
we can start from the very beginning. I mean, I know you probably slept in because you work nights. I work nights. Trust me, I worked nights for almost 4 years. I understand how that sleep schedule is.
Yeah, sleep's all
And so,
messed up.
you could, oh, absolutely. It doesn't matter if you switch to day shift schedule. Your sleep's still going to be messed up for a while. I still fight it every once in a while. Did you sleep in today? Yeah. I bet you did. You could have got to work tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What time did you get up?
Oh boy. I don't even know. Probably around noonish.
Around noon. That's usually what time I got up too. I'd sleep in as long as I could. Around noon. Did you get anything done today? No?
Oh no.
It may not be about the case, but Grant is finally speaking, and Cordero has found a way in. If she can keep this conversation going, she might be able to carefully extract information from him without him knowing. Talking about specifics like TV shows and sleep schedules could lead to catching him in a lie and placing him in specific locations at specified times. Most importantly, she's establishing a rapport with him and continuing to let him speak, which enhances the likelihood that he will either make a mistake or decide to make it easier on the investigators by answering a question. But inevitably, as soon as Cordero asked him to discuss the matter again, he shut down again, refusing to answer any further questions and remaining mute.
I think you have a lot to live for. Beautiful family, who I've had the privilege of talking to. Who they love. You love them very much and they love you. Your daughter looks a lot like you. She's a sweet.
She's a lot prettier.
She is very pretty. She is very pretty. Very pretty. But the way I look at it is you're a man. Men face their mistakes and they own up to them. And they figure out what happened and figure out how to solve it and move on. I mean, I think you know just as well as I do people who can admit they've done something wrong or witnessed something wrong. It's kind of like a weight lifted off their chest. You automatically feel better. Or at least in my experience, I feel better.
I'm listening. I'm just.
No, I understand. Like I said, I'm honestly here to help you. I want you to understand that. I wouldn't spend my time in here with you if I didn't honestly think that you were a good person and that something happened today that needs to be explained. Did you make a mistake today? You don't have to verbally answer if you don't want to. Would you want your daughter to admit if she made a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're a good man and that's how you raised your daughter. My dad would expect me to do the same thing. Because he was raised the same way. And I honestly want to be there. Help your daughter understand. After you help me understand. I honestly feel like you want to talk to me and explain it.
How long will it be here?
I don't know. Hopefully not very long. I know you're tired. I get it.
Grant doesn't budge an inch after being reminded of his family, believing that his only chance of being let go is to remain silent and hope they don't discover anything.
Cordero. I like you. I like this fella that was a detective here. And I know y'all don't care about any of that and stuff. And I just don't know how to. I haven't had this happen before. Being brought in and interrogated for something. So I know you don't care, but I just don't know how to be silent.
I think.
So sitting over here looking like a jerk.
No, you're not. Honestly, you are far from that. You're very polite.
Well, I'm just going to continue to rest my eyes and
Don't you know why you're here?
I appreciate you guys, and I'm just going to.
After hours of almost futile back and forth, Grant finally requests a lawyer, which means the detectives can no longer question him and the questioning is over. But this is far from the conclusion of the narrative. Between this interview and the final court hearing, Grant and his lawyer both recognized that he was not going to get off lightly. Not only was there a man at the crime site who almost certainly witnessed him pull the shot, but it was also becoming clear that he'd been sacked or resigned from 3 separate police force jobs before becoming the head of police in his hometown. So on October 16, 2017, he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder but refused to divulge his motive, leaving James Appleton's family members without closure to this day. However, while Grant was on trial, a surprising revelation occurred that transformed him from a murderer into a mindless monster of a human being. As they were taking his DNA, they discovered it was already in the system under an unknown name for a crime done over 20 years ago. A teacher at Frank Tillery Elementary School went to the teacher's lounge bathroom in November 1997, only to be met by a man wielding a gun who forced her into a cubicle. The man then raped her and departed, taking care not to touch anything or leave any proof other than the DNA he left on her clothes. Local police tried everything they could to identify the criminal, but the inquiry was closed after 20 months, until Grant Hardin's DNA was discovered to be a perfect match 20 years later. And because Rogers police secured a John Doe warrant in 2003, allowing them to arrest an unknown suspect and avoid the statute of limitations, he was sentenced to 14 years in addition to the 21 years he received for the murder of James Appleton. As a result, Grant Hardin was sentenced to 35 years in jail, which means he will most certainly spend the remainder of his life behind bars.